Good morning, Colum. Thank you very much for taking some time out. And I was going to say, of your busy schedule, but just from talking to you before, it's not just that busy anymore. But go ahead, introduce yourself and let us know a bit about what you were doing up until recently.
Good morning, Scott. Good speaking to you. Look, up until about a month ago, I was the owner, managing director, and founder of Hybrid Mail Solutions. But on the 14th of April, I sold the company after a couple of months of going through a sale process. Hybrid Mail was a company I set up in 2012, this 1st of January 2012. Actually, I started a business, and it was in operation for about 11 years, and then I sold to a company in Belfast, McGowan Print, between Dublin and Belfast. So they're now running the business as a going concern, and I'm just giving some support. So I have more time now to do interviews or chats like this.
And Colin, what did that business, or what does that business do?
The business was set up, it was a concept whereby I come from Fermanagh, which are Newton Butler, Liston It's on the border. So what we do is we take mail in, or we took mail in electronically from the likes of Ireland or UK. We're on the border. We made the most of it with Brexit as well. So we take mail in electronically. We would print it. And if it was going into the Republic of Ireland, we'd put it in a Cadunas on post envelope. And if it was going to the UK, we'd put it in the UK envelope. So we're cutting out the international postage. But along with that, a lot of the stuff coming out of Ireland, customers we had in Ireland, it went back into Ireland. A lot of the stuff coming out of GB, Northern Ireland, whatever, it was printed in Liston and went out from Liston. Liston was our base.
So was it more efficient or more cost-effective way of somebody getting something physically in their hand in?
Absolutely. The pain we took away for customers was, for some of our customers, would have been like having franking machines, having people stuffing envelopes, all that sort of stuff. So whether it was 20 letters or 10,000 letters, it didn't matter. They downloaded our printer, or there's a folder on it's effectively a printer. So you picked the printer, instead of picking your printer at the end of your desk, you selected our printer, it came to us, it applied your headed paper, printed it, put a barcode on it, it was automatically enveloped and out the door. Wow.
And I'm intrigued, so how did you come up with that idea?
I came up with that idea. I used to work for a company, Quinn Insurance, and we had a print. I was over the call centres and the back offices and that, and we were sending out 100,000 documents a week, and we had a print solution in Cavan and a print solution in Enniskillen, and 2 call centres, but we also had 2 print facilities. So I thought my original idea, I had a pivot and changed direction. My original idea when that company went, Quinn's was, you probably know the history of Quinn Insurance.
Of course, yeah.
When that company went, my idea was to call it Earn Postal Service and have a van moving across the border. But I had a pivot, change direction, and I did that quickly.
Yeah, sounds fantastic, and it sounds like it's been a really interesting journey. What was it that made you actually take the leap and get into business for yourself? Was it just the fact that the previous job had gone, or what was it that made you not just get another job? Why did you decide to start a business?
My father always was in business. He would have had a filling station on the border, shoe shop off license. Business was in my DNA. And from probably 21, I started working. Worked in the bank, worked in BT, then I worked in Quinn Insurance. And I just probably at that stage, I was 40 years of age. And I thought, look, and that opportunity just came. I was out of a job basically. So I was either look for another job, maybe travel to Dublin or Belfast, or start a company or start a business. So I started a business now, but it wasn't easy. The first 3 years, first year I lost a fortune, the second year I lost a half a fortune, and the third year I broke even. So then it was good times.
So tell me a bit more about that. It wasn't easy. What was the most difficult thing? So you're just taking the leap, start this business from scratch. Sounds like it's pretty unique. I mean, there certainly wouldn't have been that many people doing it. So what was the biggest hurdle you had to overcome in the early days?
I suppose getting the finance, like I got some redundancy, but I put that into the company and I run out of money after month 2 and we had 0 customers. So my philosophy was build it and they will come. But after the first year, that didn't happen. So I had to do I called it desperate times for desperate measures. It's an old Japanese proverb. Okay. So I applied that to everything I did to survive, everything I done. And look, I'd say 2012, I was born on money, I wouldn't like to tell you, but I was born in a month and I borrowed money at 20% and I had to take add-on risk and more risk. But you do, as I said, desperate times, desperate measures. But it looks like a bad decision now. It was actually a good decision then because it just kept us going. You do what you have to do to keep going. And then in 2013, We were told to take legal advice to wind up the business halfway through the year, because we were just losing hand over fist.
Yeah.
And then we were selected as one of the top 24 companies in Northern Ireland for Propel, for Invest in I, for being able to scalable, repeatable, and exportable. And our business was one of them top 24 companies, down to 20 then. It was identified as that. They had to go through a selection process. So that got us, I think it was 20,000. That kept us going, maybe 5,000, maybe kept you going every month at that time. So you did what you have to do. And at the end of the year, then it got you ready for pitching for investment and growing your business.
Mm-hmm.
And I done that on Dragon's Den and RTE in Dublin. And I also done it to Halo Business Angels in Belfast. Just ironic that it was on the same day, and that went well. So once that got that media coverage, that changed our business.
So I've got two questions. So the first thing is that you were selected, but you had to actually apply. That was the thing. You took the action to apply. Absolutely.
You have to make it happen, as I say. So if you're sitting around for someone to come in or make it happen, that ain't going to happen. So it was, as I said, desperate times. Do what you have to do to get out there. Do what you have to do to get customers in. Do what you have to do to get the sales. Because at the end of the day, when you have bills coming in and business to set up, it's all about getting the sales, getting the customers. And probably I learned that very quickly.
And the other question I have is, so it seems like the universe was telling you this isn't going to work, like this isn't a good idea. What was it that made you keep on making it work?
That's a good question. My background, I would have played football for like a club and county Gaelic football for maybe 10 years. And I just, in me, whether it's football training on a pitch, whatever, I always say I'll be going when other guys are stopping. And I would say I'd go 7 times as long as any. I just keep going, keep going, keep going. And it's like no matter what, you keep going. Like it's supposed to like drilling for oil. You hope we're going to get there at some point. That's what it's all about, making it happen.
I can't remember who said it, but it's like a quote. The difference between successful people and everybody else is they didn't quit.
Well, I would agree with that. Yeah, we had a date set. There was one. Would you believe it? We'd set a date, July the 15th, 2013, because like banks said we're giving you no more. We went back to the banks 3 times. We're giving you no more. And I went back to them 3 times and got something. And so we'd set the date of the 31st July 2013 that we were going to wind up. And one order just came through, and that kept us going the next couple of weeks. And that's the way. Then we said, right, we'll stay another 2 weeks. We'll stay another week or 2, and that's what it was about.
Brilliant. So what I mean, you talked there a bit about your sporting career. What would you say the biggest thing you learned about yourself, from having a business?
Probably. Well, the biggest thing I would have learned is that I'm good at business. I would have learned that I'm good at business. I'm good at dealing with people. I'm good at the relationships, managing customers and getting customers. The service we gave to our customers was second to none. Do you know what I mean? I would say that's second to none. And that's probably like in terms of stickability. We didn't really lose customers. We never really lost customers due to service or anything like that. And I'd probably give me credit. It was a family business. My wife deserves a lot of the credit for that. Sure. Coming from a BT background and customer service, we always put the customer first. And we worked as a team. You know what I mean? We respected each other. That's the sort of stuff we done in business.
Yeah, good culture.
Good culture. And there were sort of values in BT that we applied to our own business, and there were good values. But what I learned from it's just that I enjoyed it more. I really loved being in business. I loved it. And obviously we done well when we got it sold and got it out. Because suppose anyone that starts up a business, there's different ways you can keep a business for a lifetime, whatever. Businesses can go bust, but sometimes it's knowing when to get out. And a month on now, like I'm still relatively young lad, still a young man. So
I mean, I want to ask about the sale, but one last question about the sort of the early days of the business, if that's okay. If you were to go back to 2012 again and start, is there anything you would do differently?
Well, on the Propel, looking back, the Invest program where you've done, Invest in I program was Propel, and I'd always talked about a minimal viable product, testing the market before you go to market, before you set it up, before you take on. Like I took on premises, took on the software, took on the capital equipment, everything, right? And I don't know if we'd do it differently, but if I had tested the market then, it would have said there's no market, there's no customers. The culture hadn't set. So I honestly don't know. I don't know what I had to do to get going. I've never really asked myself if there's anything different. It'll probably someone say, "Oh, you shouldn't have done it." Like if I had been looking at 2012, "Oh, you shouldn't have done this." 2013, when we were told to wind up, shouldn't have done this. But you know what I mean? Now looking back, you absolutely should have done it.
Yeah. It
You know
sounds
what I
like
mean?
you had no. It sounds to me like you had no plan B.
Pardon?
Sounds to me like you had absolutely no plan B. You were just all in.
That's the way you go. Well, me all in. I have a number of properties that I would have accumulated over this. And when we were setting up the business, like I borrowed at 20% halfway into the game, when like maybe 20 to keep us going another way. And my properties, I would have put it all on the line. Like I would have, my wife was taken out of one solicitor's, everything we have is joint, and she had to sign another document to say that if it goes down, she can't stop me selling the home house. That's the detail that we went down to.
Right.
That's how far we were going.
Yeah. Well, again, but here we are, 10 years later. So tell me about the sale then. What you say it's about knowing the right time. Did you decide to put yourself in that space, or did the opportunity come up, or how did that work?
Well, when I set the business up, we said we do 7 to 10 years. Like we got 2 investors in 2014. They came in. They only sold them a very small proportion of our business. Same, and they probably were looking out after 6, 7 years as well, or whatever. And they were still into the end, which was good. And why did we get out? We got out probably because that was the time. 10 years is a long enough time as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In business, when you're going at it full hog, we would have seen in 2015, 16, 17, 18 really good growth then. And then maybe when COVID came, we would have sort of took a bit of a hit then. And then we dropped one, the performance went down. But then again, now it's just took off again. We had our best year there back for 5 years. And we thought last year was going to be a poor year. So we were just probably, I'd say we were tired. My wife was more, she was probably, at that stage, she wanted to sort of break it out. We'd done the hard slog, and the opportunity came along. We looked to sell maybe about 3 years ago before the whole thing went down, and we employed a company. I don't know if we can say the company here or not. It was Benchmark International. I'll say it. They pay them a large fee and you get a commission, but that didn't work for us. Absolutely not. And I paid them. I may as well say it. Paid them, didn't work. They'll do the emails to do that, but it wasn't until this year till we took. My wife says, "Look, let's get out of this game." She was done enough, and we had taken it to a level that we could we felt we could probably hit a ceiling because of, and we were restricted in terms of some of the, I call them limiting factors, was the postage rate that we were given coming from Anna. Whereas if you're based in England, you've got a better rate, or based in Belfast, boys can access different postal rates. So we had got to the ceiling of where we could get to in terms of growth, we felt. And it was the right time. So I took on myself to sell it, and it worked well.
I think the thing that interests me though is that you set the business up to sell it. You know, from day one, you were like 7 to 10 years. Whereas you mentioned earlier, I think a lot of people, I don't know if you agree, a lot of people set a business up and they just think that'll be their job until they retire. Whereas you actually came at it from, I'm going to do this for 7 to 10 years and then sell it.
Yes. Well, it was to grow it, scale it, and well, I suppose that, it was just like, I thought it was like, at that stage, it was like a cash it in now, set for life, more or less, you know what I mean? And that's what it's about. And if you want to go and do something else, like you're not here forever. So that was my sort of attitude. I remember my father was in business, as I said. He had a business on the border, filling station and shop. And that was it was sort of for 10, 15 years, the business was good. And then it'd switch across to the other side. And probably that was in my DNA to remember, you know what I mean? There's a time to go and there's a time not. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, listen, it sounds like it's been an amazing journey, and I appreciate you sharing it with us. Last question, just to finish up, was there any favorite quotes or sayings you picked up that served you well along the way?
Probably I would have had a number of quotes. Probably pivot, just change direction. Like at the start, I had my company all set up and I had to change direction. But fail, I always seen fail. You probably know this. Forced attempt in learning. Like if I failed, that would only be forced attempt in learning. I failed many times, and I go again and go again. And if you want something done, ask a busy person to do it. I would always say that as well.
Yeah.
And look, you just keep going. And that's sort of I applied. And then the desperate times, desperate measures. That was always in my psyche.
Just
when
do
it
it.
was desperate times, do what you have to do to make it happen. Make it happen.
And listen, it's worked brilliantly for you. It seems like you've knocked it out of the park. You don't seem too stressed there, so look, fair play to you.
I have to start looking at it, and then I need a plan B. I have to get that plan B.
Listen, I really appreciate you sharing that with us today, Colum. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Scott.